SeaWorld Orlando is going to be a completely different park in 5 years, and Pipeline is just the start. Don't believe me? Well, let me show you what I mean. SeaWorld Orlando is an iconic park. Even if you're not a coaster enthusiast, you've probably been or heard of this park at least. Now, throughout the past couple of years, the park has taken a major turn. To kick it off, the park has struggled during COVID. In 2019, this park had everything operating with other rides and attractions like Antarctica, Empire of the Penguin, Turtle Trek, and Wild Arctic. Now, when the park reopened in 2020, none of the dark rides were open. Lots of coasters struggled to stay operational, the Sky Tower was closed, and Icebreaker construction was postponed until further notice. Throughout the next year, it would be about the same. It wasn't until 2022 the Sky Tower would finally become operational again, and Icebreaker would finally open up to the public. Now, I love SeaWorld. I've been going for years. In fact, my channel began with vlogging at SeaWorld every single time I went. But if I'm being honest, the park quality has dropped, and it doesn't feel the same. And I feel it's because this park has lost a lot of rides and attractions that were good, and it was a great break from the coasters. But now, basically, all that's operating are the roller coasters. Sure, there's also Infinity Falls, the Sky Tower, and the family rides over at Sesame Street Land, but there's no dark rides, no flat rides, just various other exhibits. So the only attractions that truly stand out that are operating in that park are the coasters. And I feel like those attractions that used to exist made the park special. Luckily, now I feel like SeaWorld has finally recovered from the pandemic. They opened every coaster that was delayed in 2020 and are getting ready for the 2023 season with 5 different rides, once again at all the other parks, with 4 of them being some sort of roller coaster. Now, SeaWorld Orlando is easily getting the biggest coaster out of all the parks this year with Pipeline the Surf Coaster, a new-gen stand-up model by B&M that they are calling the Surf Coaster. This ride will feature 2 seated stand-up trains with vest restraints, and the seats will bounce up and down with the ride to simulate the idea of surfing. The ride will be located at the front of the park, replacing the existing event space, and the layout will contain elements like a launched airtime hill, overbank turns, twisted airtime hills, helixes, and a large corkscrew. It may not be the largest or longest coaster in the park, but it's still going to add a lot to the lineup. Since it's a prototype, it'll be a very unique coaster. There's really nothing else quite like Pipeline in the world, and the closest stand-up is Georgia Scorcher over at Six Flags Over Georgia, which is hundreds of miles away. So the park will greatly value this coaster. Plus, since this space was rarely utilized by the park and only open for a couple hours of the day when it was being used, it will be a great addition to that space. Plus, this will be the park's 7th roller coaster, which I believe will finally turn this park back into a full-day destination. Now, this coaster will probably open around March of 2023 if I were to guess, probably right around the same time as Tron Light Cycle Run at the Magic Kingdom. Pipeline is going to be a phenomenal ride, but like I said, it's only the start of what I feel like is the renovation of SeaWorld Orlando. So let's look at it like this. 2022. Icebreaker finally opens after a 2-year delay and finally adds a smaller thrill coaster to the park's lineup. 2023. Pipeline the Surf Coaster opens up as a crazy prototype no one else has ever experienced. 2024. SeaWorld replaces the old Antarctica Empire of the Penguin Dark Ride with an Intamin family launch coaster themed to SeaWorld Rescue. Wait, what? Yeah, you heard me, and this is only the start. First off, let's be real. Empire of the Penguin is closed for good. There's no way it's ever going to reopen. Second, we recently saw survey markers and construction walls added to the back of the Dark Rides building. And with how crazy SeaWorld has been in the past, it only makes sense that SeaWorld will replace this former dark ride with a roller coaster. Now, for the kind of coaster, I feel like it only makes sense that it'll be an Intamin family launch coaster.
Alright, pause. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this either. So, I'm at an Airbnb here in Atlanta, so I apologize for the poor setup, but I do have to share this. Screamscape recently released an article talking about the Empire of the Penguin replacement since construction walls and survey markers have started to appear in the area. However, according to these plans, it seems that this ride is not going to be an Intamin family coaster, it's going to be a Mock Rides family launch coaster. So something very similar to the likes of Slinky Dog Dash over at Disney's Hollywood Studios 20 minutes down the street. But I guess this will be a bit more intense to allow it to be a different enough ride to separate itself. Personally, I would prefer this over Intamin as these look a lot more fun than the likes of Wavebreaker, but we will have to see. I'm going to keep why I thought Intamin was going to make this coaster, even though it's most likely going to be mock rides, solely because it did make sense, and it's still an option, it's still on the table. But yeah, it looks like mock rides is actually going to be making this roller coaster instead of Intamin. So let's get back to the video.
SeaWorld already has a rescued coaster named Wavebreaker over at San Antonio, and SeaWorld San Diego is getting Arctic Rescue in 2023. And you could even look at it with Busch Gardens for the model, as they're getting Dark Coaster. So SeaWorld Orlando is the only one left. Now, I know it would be way too similar to Hagrid's at Islands of Adventure, but I really don't think that's going to matter since Hagrid's is really in its own category. Plus, you got the sidecar seat, which really is a completely different experience than the motorbike. This one would feel like you're in a snowmobile going through Antarctica. Now, I feel like this is going to be more like Arctic Rescue. It'll be outside with lots of turns, hills, and launches. Sure, some could say it'll be like Dark Coaster, but one, I don't think Empire the Penguin even has enough space for that. I also think that they're going to want to at least keep the Penguin exhibit, as that is one of the most popular exhibits in the park. And finally, Arctic Rescue replaced Wild Arctic at San Diego, and that whole ride is going to be outside, so I feel like this ride could be very similar. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this shared the same name as well, and was also called Arctic Rescue. Since SeaWorld did reuse the Manta name from the flyer to the mock family, why can't they reuse this name? Or honestly, they could just call it Antarctic Rescue. So like I said, Pipeline is just the start of SeaWorld's renovation. I also believe in 2025, Wild Arctic will finally get replaced by another dark ride, probably themed to Sesame Street, but that's for another video. So I would say for now, get ready for Pipeline, and get excited for the future of SeaWorld Orlando, as I feel like they are finally heading in the right direction. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that is one of the best ways for you to support the channel. Also, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on Pipeline and other attractions around the world, check out my podcast, On the Hunt, in the description down below. As always, this is Hunter from Theme Park Hunting. I'll see you guys later, and follow the thrill.